Hey everybody, this is Chris Stafford. Welcome to the Max Show. We have I have crazy people in the studio. We have got a stellar real estate agent that I can't wait to talk to. But this first is the Max Show, Massive Abundance Exposed, all about exposing the secrets of badass entrepreneurs all over the world. And let me tell you, this stellar agent with the name of Wendy Papasan in Austin, Texas. She has accomplished so much in 5 years. She's only been in the business for 5 years. Already has sold $40 million worth of real estate. Has a great team behind her. Works for Keller Williams. I am really looking forward to really sort of deep diving into her practices, what she's doing, some tips from her, because it's all about for her work-life balance. And if you've followed any of the stuff that I do, you know that I am all over work-life balance. So we're going to talk to Wendy in just a minute, but before we do, make sure you get yourself onto massiveabundanceinc.com, sign in, get yourself a free goodie, and without further ado, Wendy Papasan. Hey everybody, you're not going to believe we have Wendy Papasan in the house. How you doing, Wendy?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it. I have so much to learn from you because you really struck a chord with me when we were talking off camera about, what your passion in life is, and that is work-life balance. I mean, you're this super hot agent in Austin, Texas. I mean, selling all these properties, and I think you said that you're doing like $40 million a year in business.
Yep.
But work-life balance is really important to you. I know you have a husband. I know you have children. Talk to me about this. When you say you have a great quality of life, that's one of your quotes. You have a great quality of life. What does that mean to you?
Well, a great quality of life is being able to do the things that I want to do that don't necessarily involve work. And I think, my husband works directly with Gary Keller, and Gary Keller would tell you that as big as his business has grown over the last 30 years, he's really maintained his quote unquote work life balance. Although I wouldn't call it work life balance, I'd call it counterbalance. And I think I learned a lot of lessons from him. And, life is just really too short not to do the things that you want to do. You only
Uh-huh.
get one life.
That's amazing. So want to give us some tips. I mean, and when this work-life balance, because one of the things I think, I go around the country all the time and I'm speaking to realtors, and one of the things that I always get this question about this being available 24/7, and what does it mean to you? Like, give us some tips in terms of examples what you do.
Sure. Well, I think there's two ways to leverage your life. And like I said, we'll talk about, I don't actually think it's work-life balance. I think it's more about counterbalancing, especially when you're in real estate.
Uh-huh.
But you can leverage your life in two ways. The first way, of course, is in your business life.
Hmm.
And there's millions of ways to leverage your business life. I have 7 people that work for me, so I don't
Mm.
work 24/7. I never have. And now that I have a full staff of people to help me, I certainly don't do that because they do everything that I used to do better than I do.
Uh-huh.
And then there are ways to leverage yourself in your personal life. And that can range from something as easy as getting
Hmm.
a housekeeper who does your laundry. We actually have someone who comes in and cleans our fish tank once a quarter. When you work for yourself
Hmm.
and your time is your money, then you have to figure out ways to focus on the activities that net you the most money. And
Hmm.
generally, cleaning the fish tank, mowing the lawn, cleaning your toilets, they're not generally going to be the best way to make the most money.
That's interesting. And you've only been in business doing this for 5 years, I understand.
Yeah, this is my fifth year. Yeah. And
Fifth
so,
year and $40 million
yeah,
dollars in business. That is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's been great.
Well,
And really, my first 2 years in real estate, I didn't even work full time. So,
you're kidding. Well,
no.
you've got some secrets here. Going back to the work balance or the counterbalance, as you would call it.
Hmm.
Tell me this: what do you think? Number one, what are you good at, and what are you doing in your day-to-day business life, and what are you
Okay.
not doing?
Great. Well, so I'm still the listing agent, so I
Hmm.
go on all the listing appointments. I'm the rainmaker and I lead generate for the team. I do that every single morning from
Hmm.
9 to 11.
Hmm.
And then I'm the team leader. So those are the three things that I do. So really my activities during the day are pretty limited and pretty focused to just those three things. And I have everybody else on my staff does everything else. So the first Way I leveraged myself was contract to close.
Hmm.
So I hired someone part-time in that first year. I paid them $250 a transaction
Hmm.
to do all those little details that happen once the contract comes in, all the way to closing.
Hmm.
And our average sales price here is about 250. So for $7,500, if I could get someone to take that off my plate for $250,
Hmm.
so I could lead generate or do whatever else I needed to do, that was a no-brainer.
Wow, that's amazing. That makes a lot of sense. Perfect sense. When you're the rainmaker, so that means you're doing the prospecting.
I do
When are
the
you doing the
prospecting.
prospecting? What type of prospecting are you doing, and how long are you doing it for?
Sure, sure. So I have my lead generation prospecting time blocked off in my calendar.
Hmm.
I'm a huge proponent of time blocking. I think it's easy to, fritter away a whole day if you don't know exactly what you're doing. I
Uh-huh.
mean, what is the old saying? The expands to fill the time
Yes,
allowed.
exactly.
And I think for a lot of realtors, that's true.
Hmm.
And when they start in the business and they don't have a lot of business at the beginning, they get into this habit of doing busy work instead of actually doing real work. So to
Hmm.
answer your question, I get into the office every morning about 8:40,
Hmm.
and our whole team does script practice. So
Hmm.
we practice our scripts from 8:30 until 9 o'clock, and then we all go into our lead generation, which for me is from 9 to 11 or 9 to 11:30, depending on how long it takes for me to
Hmm.
get my 20 connects, is what I call it.
Wow. So your goal is to talk to actually get on the phone 20 people a day.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And what types of contacts are you talking to?
Generally, I'm just talking to my sphere and my past clients. So
Sphere and your past
that's
clients.
and then anybody that I've got in my pipeline that I've been nurturing as
Hmm.
far as usually listings go.
And out of
Yep.
curiosity, how many people do you have in your overall database, roughly?
We have about 250 people in our past client database because I've only been in business for,
Hmm.
5 years.
Right.
And then as far as my sphere goes, we have about 650 people
About
in my
650.
sphere.
That's
And so
amazing.
right now, one of the main things that I'm doing is Jay, my husband, wrote
Hmm.
a great book last year called The One Thing,
Hmm.
and he went on a multi-city speaking tour, and he's agreed to do a speaking event for our clients
Hmm.
at a historic theater in downtown Austin. So right now, I'm calling all my sphere, my past clients, inviting them to that, and then while I'm doing that, hey, by the way, do you have any real estate questions I can help you with? And who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest?
Well, there's a couple points there. One is I just, obviously there are probably the majority of the people watching this are realtors, a lot of startup realtors, Wendy. And the point that I just love that you're making is the block time. Is, I
Mm-hmm.
always tell realtors, I said, if you're not blocking out time, what that means is that you're letting other people schedule your day through the use
Absolutely.
of emails. And so I'm loving that the fact that you're doing this. So catch that, everybody. Wendy is doing
Yeah,
this at
yeah.
least two
Well, and
hours a morning.
one thing I'm a huge proponent of is actually to time block your vacations because a lot of agents end up at the end of the year where they've literally not taken a vacation. And I've talked to realtors who tell me I haven't had a vacation in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years,
I
which is
love it. I love it.
sad. It's so sad. It's like you run your own business, you work for yourself, do whatever
Right.
you want to do. And so what my husband and I do is every November we take a 1 or 2 day retreat, an overnight retreat,
Uh-huh.
where we map up all our goals for the year.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, we also map out all our vacations every year. And so we
Wow.
take a minimum of 6 weeks of vacation
Uh-huh.
every year. And that's all mapped out, starting January when we know exactly when we're going to take it
Hmm.
and, where we're going to go. And, we have to make sure we, earn the money throughout the year to enjoy our vacations.
I love it. That's a great tip. Everybody should definitely do that. But it sounds to me, Wendy, that you are very well organized. You adhere to your schedule. It
Hmm.
sounds like a brilliant schedule. But there are things that come, there's stuff that just happens and that can take you off your
Absolutely.
schedule. And
Absolutely.
what do you do to keep yourself on your schedule?
Yeah, well, Gary Keller would tell you if you must erase, you must replace.
Okay.
So if I have something, of course, I mean, I'm in real estate. Sometimes you can't be on the phone prospecting at 9 in the morning. You've got some emergency that you have to deal with. And so then I just make sure that I take that time blocking and I put it in the afternoon. And if I haven't made my 20 contacts,
Hmm.
I'll squeeze in a couple contacts on the way to an appointment. I'll squeeze in a couple contacts at the end of a day, or I'll, call a couple people while I'm driving home to meet my family.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Now, do you have an accountability partner or coach that you're working with?
I do. I have a coach through MAPS and Keller Williams,
Uh-huh.
and that's been brilliant for me. I've had a coach for about probably 2.5 years now.
And how often do you have to check in with this person in terms of your
I
prospecting?
check in with them weekly.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he holds me accountable to right now. The main thing we're working on is just keeping me to my prospecting schedule,
Hmm.
and then also my P&L. So
Got it.
my profitability.
Profitability. That's
Hmm.
great. I love that. Getting back to prospecting, Wendy, when you're talking to your past clients and you're talking to your sphere of influence, and especially, I mean, you've only been in the business for 5 years. You have a relatively, moderate size, sphere of
Small. Yeah.
influence. Do you try to mix it up with them between emails, calling? I mean, you can't
Yeah.
call them every month or can't call them every.
No, no, of course, they'll never take your call.
Right.
So our goal is to call quarterly. I mean, realistically,
Quarterly.
we probably call 3 times a year. I mean, if I'm really honest with you.
Uh-huh.
And we do mix it up. So usually in the beginning of the year, we do hey, I'm just checking in. We're doing our database updates.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, do you have any real estate questions I could help you with?
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is usually right around when we get our property taxes. And so I
Mm-hmm.
call all our clients and say, hey, because in Austin, the property taxes are crazy and they just keep going up. So
Mm-hmm.
just checking in, hey, how can I help? You need to see, do you need an analysis of what your home's really worth? Do you need to go and protest? And then the third one we did this year was really just kind of a market update. Here's what's going on in June. And then the fourth one is really calling everyone and inviting them to the event.
Got it. Got it. That's great.
Yeah.
So think of things throughout the year that you can talk to your sphere about, and
Hmm.
then sort of ask them if they need real estate help or if they know
Right.
anybody. Brilliant.
Right. I mean, I know some people are a lot more aggressive about talking to their clients and
Uh-huh.
asking for the business, but this is just what works for me is I like to come from contribution and, be helpful. So,
Absolutely. That makes sense.
yeah.
Now, speak? I understand. You are a speaker about work-life balance?
Yeah, I just got back from a speaking engagement in Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
where we had a 2-hour mastermind with all the working moms in the office, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked a lot about leverage. We talked a lot about, making dinner,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of the things that busy
I love it.
busy professionals have, but especially working moms. And
Right,
and then we
right.
did it, and then I did a class on how to build a great business in a short amount of time and still have a great life.
That's amazing. I love this is like my favorite topic because us realtors, we all need this. I mean, we certainly need
Absolutely.
this in spades. Wendy has a brilliant website, which is austinsbesthomesearch.com. We'll have that in the show notes. We definitely want to make sure that everybody refers business to Wendy in Austin. But also, can they contact you too if they want to talk to you more about this whole work life thing?
Sure, sure. They can just contact me at papazanteam@gmail.com. And so Papazan is spelled Papas like Sam, A N like Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
team
Mm-hmm.
at gmail.com.
At Gmail. Okay, and I'll make sure I'll have that in the show notes as well too. You know what, Wendy? You seem like you're on your schedule. You seem like you're very focused, and I love this. But in spite of all of this, we are entrepreneurs at heart, and all of us entrepreneurs, we all have challenges occasionally. And we try to figure out how to get past those challenges. What is a big challenge that you've experienced in your last 5 years of being in business, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think for me, it's really been prioritizing my family because that's always been my most important thing to
Mm-hmm.
me. And I've really done that, through time blocking. I think I had an advantage when I started my business. My son just started kindergarten. He turned 5, and that's the reason I got into real estate. But my
Mm-hmm.
daughter was still in preschool. And so I was really limited in terms of the amount of time I could spend on my business. So I really just worked from 9 to 12, which really helped me focus.
Mm-hmm.
And then that continued for 2 years. And then she went to kindergarten. So then my business, then I got to work from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
And then the next year, I actually hired a babysitter so that I could take appointments later in the day, 2 days a week. So I worked 2 days a week until 5:30 or whenever my appointment would take me to, and then I still came home at 2:30 every day. And this year is really the first year where I've had kind of a full-time nanny, and I think that squeezing my schedule at the beginning really helped me focus.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. One of the things I always run into, a lot of realtors, and especially in your situation where you have such a cool team, they hate giving up control. They hate, they have a hard time with that. Did you have any
hmm
of that?
I have no issues around that.
I love it.
No,
Good for
I,
you.
I I'm not a
Give it
workaholic.
all away.
I have no control over that. I mean, usually most people are better at everything than I
I,
am anyway. So
I say that all
yeah,
the time. Usually, yeah,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. Hire people that are smarter than you with this
Hire
stuff. And
people that, yeah, exactly. I mean, the problem that people have is they have ego around it,
there's
and
that word.
I have no such, I have no issues around that, and people don't hire people that are better than them because they have ego and they're
Yes.
worried about someone usurping their business or taking over or whatever issues they have. And actually, last year, I have two, lots of phenomenal people on my team. But last year, well, about a year and a half ago, I hired a amazing buyer specialist,
Hmm.
and her first year in the business, she started with us at the end of February, and she closed about $7 million worth of real estate herself, which was
Wow.
incredible.
That's amazing.
And never had any real estate experience. And then at the end of that year, I mean, she's a high achiever, someone with really big goals.
Hmm.
And she came to me and she said, I want to do about $19 million worth of real estate in her first full year in the business. And so, she
And
handed
you're
me her
like,
goal
yes.
sheet. Yeah, well, I'm like, yes, but there's a part of me that's like, okay, well, then I have to go back and create a vision that's bigger than that to encompass
Hmm.
her goals. And
Right.
I also have other people who have a lot they want to accomplish with their lives. So it pushes me to expand my vision for my business,
Hmm.
expand our world, because I want to create opportunities for them. I don't want them to leave me and go do something else. I want these incredible people to stay for me. So I need to create opportunities
Absolutely.
for them.
Absolutely. Well, anybody watching this right now, I mean, I'm fired up. I'm ready to start working for you.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good.
Anybody watching this is definitely going to want to be working for you because you
Well,
sound
I'm
like a super
always
cool
looking for
boss.
talent. I am always looking for talent. So if there's anybody out there watching, they know talented people who are moving to Austin, interested in moving to Austin. I talk with at least one person a week, and I always
Hmm.
have talented people in my pipeline so I can keep a big bench. If
Hmm.
we ever have a position we need to fill, I've got somebody there waiting. So that's definitely one of the things I focus on too.
That is amazing. That is amazing, Wendy. Talking to you is so energizing. I'm going to do more prospecting now. Um,
Good.
but one of the things, Wendy, that I love to end each talk with is the one thing, is talking about filling your pipeline with really cool people. If
hmm
you had a brand new real estate agent sitting across the desk from you right now and they said, Wendy, I really want to rock this thing. I really want to start my own business. What's the one or two things that I have to get down? Go.
Well, I would definitely say figure out the kind of prospecting that you like to do because
Uh-huh.
there's lots and lots of ways to succeed in real estate. You
Uh-huh.
can hold open houses, you can become a master of the internet, you can become great at Craigslist. What most new agents do is they dabble in a lot of different things and they never really get good at something enough to build their business on. If you ask
Mm-hmm.
most mega agents around the country where they get their business, most every single mega agent will name two or three things.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did when I first started is I leveraged my relationship with my husband, of course, who knows hundreds of agents across the country, and I became really good at agent to agent referrals. And
Ah.
so 41% of my business those first 2 years in real estate
Mm-hmm.
were from other agents around the country because that's all I did. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have time to spend 2 hours prospecting
Mm-hmm.
when I only had between 9 and noon to run my business, and I had to go to Target and, go grocery shopping and do everything
Mm-hmm.
else I needed to do in that short amount of time. So that's how I was able to start my business was just really focusing on the one thing again, getting really good at that, and then adding something else, and as a
Mm-hmm.
result, my business has grown. And then the second thing I would recommend is hire talented people as early as you can and as
Mm-hmm.
fast as you can. That's one of the things that I did. And learning to hire people is a skill. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to fail your way to success as far
Mm-hmm.
as that goes. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fear around not making enough money to pay people and support people, but just understand that if you hire talented people, they're going to help you grow your world. And if they aren't earning their paycheck, if they're
Hmm.
not making more money than making you more money than you're paying them, then you need to fire them anyway. So,
Right, right. I love it.
yeah.
Two excellent points. I love the thing that you're talking about because your first point is really sort of like you developed a niche for yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually speaking to the California Association of Realtors, their annual conference in 2 weeks, and that's what I'm talking about.
Cool.
And I think it's really important that realtors do that. I think that's one
Yeah.
of the coolest points because if you can niche down in some area somehow, some segment, which is what you
Yep.
did. I mean, look at your success in 5 years. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
are
It's all about the focus.
yeah, absolutely. Wendy, you are truly amazing, and we definitely want to stay following. I thank you so much for joining us today. I've learned so much, and I think our listeners have learned a lot too. Thanks for taking the
Awesome.
time. I really appreciate it.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you and great to meet you.
Okay, Wendy, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, did you hear Wendy? I mean, I love some of the stuff that came out of her mouth, man. This is a person who is super, super. I mean, she's organized. She has a great schedule. She's super focused. I really love what she's all about because you take that, and if you just look at her first blush, you think to yourself, wow, she has no work life balance because she's really hardcore focused. And yet, that's what she's all about. She is all about work life balance. And so maybe there's a key there. And I love the fact that she's mentioned at the very end talking about the niche because the more we can niche down is the faster we can become an expert in our area and the more money we can make. So amazing interview. I really love talking to Wendy. Let's definitely stay in touch with her. AustinsBestHomeSearch.com. You should hit her up immediately. And thanks so much for joining the show. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave some love down below. We need some comments on what you thought about Wendy Papasan and AustinsBestHomeSearch.com. All right, Chris Stafford here with the Max Show. Thanks so much for joining us.